Hello. Good morning. I think it's Thursday. I'm honestly not sure. I lose count, well, not count, but track of my days a lot these days because I have no structure to help me know where I'm supposed to be or what I'm supposed to do. And that's just me. Yes, I'm a planner, but I still have very little structure as far as I do this on this day. The only thing I have two things that I do, on a regular basis, and that is volunteer at the pregnancy center. I do that once a week, and church. I do that once a week. That's pretty much it. That's just kind of it. The rest of it, I give it all to y'all. I do. Guys, I got a little something I want you to pray for me, or pray with me about. My mother and father-in-law are so dear to me. And they have been having a pretty rough time of it. This past year has just been really, really rough on all of us. But my father-in-law's I think he's 84. My mother-in-law's 7 years younger than him. Well, maybe not quite, maybe 6. But she has Alzheimer's. And it's heartbreaking. Both these people, I mean, literally are the sweetest people you've ever met in your life. They've always been extremely young in heart. They're beautiful. That's one thing. There are beautiful people, even physically. My mother-in-law, I have pictures of her. She looked like Anne Margaret when she was young. Just stunning. And my father-in-law, a very, very handsome man too. And they have just lived a rich, full life. They love the Lord. They help anybody and everybody they can. But they're slowing down. My mother-in-law has Alzheimer's, and it's getting more and more apparent, and it's getting harder and harder to watch because she was such an intelligent, creative woman. She valedictorian of her class. She was a painter, very artistic, wonderful writer, beautiful singing voice. They used to have a little country gospel band that they traveled around in, and after my father-in-law retired, because he can sing too and plays all kinds of music, they're just amazing people. And so watching them decline right now has been heartbreaking. And one of the great joys of their life, for me, was also a great joy, was when I moved out here in 2008. I had an English setter named Missy. Yes, her name was Missy. My name's Melissa. She was my baby girl and loved her so much. Beautiful orange belt and just a gorgeous dog, sweetest dog on the face of the earth. She never had babies because she was spayed and everything, but she loved babies of any species. It didn't matter if it was a human baby, a kitty baby, a puppy baby. Just she loved babies. And if someone, if we brought a puppy or a kitten or something in, she would just get so excited and she would just love on it like no end. It was just, she has such a sweet mama's heart. And when we moved out here, we live in this little court thingy here. They have, rules and guidelines. And one of theirs was you couldn't have a dog over 20 pounds, which of course Missy was. She was much bigger. And literally, I told my husband if I couldn't reconcile that and bring my dog with me, I wasn't coming. I don't leave my babies behind. And the bad thing of it is that we have a huge yard, so we have a huge space. We were going to put in an underground electric fence and everything, and pay extra if they wanted us to. But no, you can't do that. And then it wasn't long after that I saw people with their pit bulls and German shepherds and all this. They were just ignoring the rules. But what happened with us is my mother and father-in-law just live within a stone's throw of us. That's one of the reasons my husband bought this house, to be close to his parents, because that's where he grew up. And they have a fenced-in yard, the private yard is theirs. And so they agreed to take her and keep her, as they said, just temporary. This is just temporary. You guys have to find something to do. Well, 10 years later, they still had her. They grew to love her like nobody's business. I had these guilty feelings like, I had to give my baby up and that kind of thing. But I couldn't have loved her more myself, which I did still love her. She would come stay with us whenever they'd go away. We'd puppy sit my baby, and she always loved her mama. This dog, if she could ever find a way out of the fence, where she got very creative and she did quite, from time to time, she would come straight here. and oof at my door for me to let her in. She still, as much as she loved them as she did, she still loved her mama. Well, we lost her back in January. She was 15 at the time, so she'd lived a long, wonderful, very loved life. But she had gotten cancer in the spleen, and she was bleeding internally and in a lot of pain. Just heartbreaking for all of us. There's Arabella. But we had her cremated, and I took her little, beautiful little wooden box that she was cremated and put in, and I took it and I gave it to them. And I'm about to cry, so I need to get it together because I knew it would mean a lot to them. They miss her so much. My father-in-law, who is not the kind of man you would ever see really show a lot of emotion, every time he talks about her, he cries. And she is his screensaver on his computer and everything. And every time we go over there, my mother-in-law is like, we sure do miss Missy. Well, I have been trying to talk them into letting me get them another dog. And I'm about rescuing. I love my shelter dogs. All of my dogs, with the exception of all my pets, period, with the exception of my Chihuahua, and I've had him since he was 5 weeks old, are rescue shelter dogs. And so I've been trying to ask them, let me find you another baby. And with their age and everything, I would love to be able to rescue an older dog. Because I'm sorry, I want to give them good homes. Everyone I see, I want to bring them home and love them. And senior dogs, it's very hard because people don't want them. And I've been trying, and I've found so far so many good dogs. But I guess my father-in-law's heart just isn't ready for it yet. He's still missing and hurting Missy, but it would be such a benefit to them. Number one, we don't like them living there in the home, even though we're right here. Still, it'd be nice to have a dog that would bark and alert them if anything was going on. And number two, it really helps both of them because even though my father-in-law, he was 83 when Missy died, almost every single day. Sometimes, oh Lord, a bee just flew in my window. Oh, sorry, ADHD, but I don't have it. I just sometimes act like I do. Anyway, he would get out and he would literally walk with her almost a mile every single day. So it really kept him fit. And my mother-in-law, when she was just having bad days, which she sometimes does, Missy was just such a comfort to her. She would just go over to her and she'd put her head down on my mother-in-law's knee, and just such a comfort. And I want that for him again. So, number one, be praying that my father-in-law opens his heart and he's ready. And then number two, be praying that I find the perfect dog for them. And it's a dog that has to fit into my family as well, because we would be house sitting or babysitting, dog sitting when they were out of town, so they'd have to be able to get along with my pups. But just pray we find the perfect dog for them, and they are just blessed by it. Okay, enough of that. I want to do, this is going to be a long video, ladies. It's probably going to take it 4 days to upload, but buckle in, because first of all, I want to do my devotion that I had today that was so good. Yesterday, when I was doing things, and I was, all over the place yesterday, but one of the things God gave me, because I have come to look at my my illness as a blessing, because it allows me, yes, it prevents me from doing a lot of stuff, but it also allows me to have time to do stuff like this, which is my heart. That's my heart. You guys are my heart. And so I was thinking about that. One of the things that God just a little phrase he just stuck in my mind was, sometimes he sits us down so that he can also lift us up. So in other words, when we get too busy with our life, sit down and spend that time with him that, we need to build us up and just strengthen us and make us ready for whatever he's called us to do, then we're too busy, period. So he has definitely sit me down. And so this is I turned right to this. Usually I just flip to a devotion and start reading, but I flipped right to this one, and it was just like, are you kidding me? That's exactly what I was talking about. And The two verses, I got my fan on, so it's very, very, blowing everything. But the two verses were Luke 2, verse 19, and then verse 51. And of course, this is about Mary and Mary. Okay. So, but Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. So this is how, thought about them often, focusing on Jesus, meditating on his word and the things about him. And then over here too, I'm going to read verse 48. I like to keep them kind of in context. It says, his parents didn't know what to think. Son, his mother said to him, why have you done this? Now this is when Jesus was 12 years old. And, he stayed behind teaching in the temple, and his parents didn't know where he was at, and they were freaking out. Why have you done this thus? Your father and I have been frantic, searching for you everywhere. But why did you need to search? He said. He asked, didn't you know that I must be in my father's house? But they didn't understand what he meant. Then he returned to Nazareth with them and was obedient to them. And his mother stored all these things in her heart. My cat's being loud. So even though she didn't understand exactly what was going on, she kept those things in her heart, knowing that it would one day be revealed to her. This is the devotion. It's called Evaluating the Meaning of Your Journey. What ways can I approach contemplation beyond simply sitting quietly? Most of us live as in action. Doing is our highest priority. Sometimes we get carried along so fast by the momentum of our activities that our time of thinking about the value or significance of what we're doing or not doing is crowded out. Journaling, which I'm pretty sure if you're watching this channel, you're a journaler. Journaling, the act of writing what we observe, think, or feel, slows us down and nudges us to evaluate the meaning of our lives. The roots of words often, I think that's a misprint, us a rich, should have been offering understanding, a rich source of understanding. Think of the word contemplate. Templare is Latin. Arabella. Is Latin root means space, from which we get our word temple, a space carved out for God. With the prefix con, the word could be paraphrased as intensive space or inner space. That's what you cultivate when you contemplate. The words diary and journal spring from the Latin root die. Now this was real interesting. And the French root jour, both of which mean day. I like to connect journaling with journey, and this is, if I can say it correctly, but this is so it, ladies. I like to connect journaling with journeying, the distance you travel in one day. Journaling can be a record of your spiritual travel, your personal edging toward God. Spiritual reflective writing involves reflecting, bending back, or looking back into ourselves in self-examination. For the Christian, this essentially means listening to God's voice. When we become sensitive to it, to catch it with our inner ears, self-examination goes on to hear what God is saying. Mary, Jesus' mother, is an example of this type of contemplation. Scripture tells us that she responded to her pregnancy and Jesus' early life by treasuring the moments and pondering them in her heart. Even though she is probably illiterate like most Jewish teenage girls of her time, Mary had the reflective heart of a journaler. She observed, treasured, and pondered what she saw and heard. We too can open our hearts and minds and listen to God as Mary did. And if we're to learn more about ourselves as God sees us and remember what we've learned, it will help us to write it down. I love this devotion. This is so good, because this is exactly what my life is about right now. The notes I wrote for it, I'm mistaken that, is sometimes God sits us down to spend more time with Him. Even sickness and the inability to go is a gift from Him. He sits us down so He can lift us up. And see, that's just my life right now. My husband and I were talking yesterday. I had a doctor's appointment. He was driving me, and he we were talking about aging and the things that's happening. You know, he is a very big outdoorsman, fishing, hunting, hiking, everything. He has spent his life outdoors. And so the thought of a disease or something stopping him from doing that scares him to death. And he point blank said that if he were me, you know, the way I have been confined, basically not being able to get out and hike and do all the things I used to do, that he doesn't think he could handle it. He doesn't think he would, you know, could handle it at all. And what I told him was, you know, even the aging process is going to make it harder and harder and harder to do the things in our youth. Yes, my aging process kind of happened kind of early, you know. So, you know, I'm 52 and I've been struggling with this for several years now, but it really got bad in when I was 49. But, you know, and I told him it is a challenge. I'm like, but that is when you find another direction. God's never going to just put you on the shelf till he takes you home. He can use you at every stage of your life, no matter what your physical abilities are. So for me, I just redirected things. I've always been a journaler. I've always written out things in prayers and stuff like that. So I just basically threw myself into this because, number one, it would de-stress me and help me focus on to God instead of focusing on a lot of the trials I was going through. And, you know, it just became a bigger blessing in my life. And it's just getting bigger and bigger and better and better as we go. And, you know, my viewership climbs and I get to share stuff with more and more of you ladies, and you share things with me. And this is a blessed time in my life. It is. So even disease and sickness, pain, whatever it is, you know, you have to find the blessing in it. It's hard, but you can. And the only way you can do that is to focus on God, like this says. Read his word and then listen to him. Let that sink deeply, root deeply into your heart. And it will give you a totally new perspective on things. God is always good. God is always our source of hope. And he will never fail or disappoint. We're all going to get old. It's just that simple. And as we age, you know, our physical abilities will stop, and, you know, and maybe you're like me, you experienced it at a younger age, but he's still going to use you. If you let him, make yourself available, and God will use you. And it's wonderful. That's our God. He wants us to be a part of his plan. No matter what our circumstances are here, he wants us to work for his kingdom and be a part of his plan. And for me, that is just, okay, awesome. Just awesome. And I love that. So anyway, I love that devotion. I just could not wait to share it with you guys. When I found it this morning, I was like, oh my gosh. I haven't even filled my coffee up for my second cup. That's saying something. You guys usually never see me before my second cup of coffee. But here I am. And I've had a lot of people ask me about this Bible, so if you're wondering what it is, it's Everyday Matters Bible for Women. Now, it's not the Joyce Meyer's Bible. She has the Enjoying Everyday Life. This one is the Everyday Matters Bible for Women. And it's a devotional Bible. It's not a study Bible. But the devotions in here, lessons, are wonderful. As you just heard, they're wonderful. I actually have 2 copies of this Bible. I have this one and I have a hard copy too. I bought the hard copy first just to see if I would like it because I didn't want to spend the money on this one, and I liked it so much I went back to get this one, and I actually found a copy of it on christianbooks.com in their slightly imperfect section, which I order from quite frequently because it's so much cheaper, the ones that are there. The only thing this one had wrong with it, why it was slightly imperfect, apparently it had been engraved for someone and then they canceled their order. So I just put a little tag over it and put my name there. Done. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful, beautiful Bible. Okay, ladies, that is all for this one. I'm actually going to record a couple of videos today. So this was not the one I planned on, but this is obviously the one God planned on. I hope that blessed you. And I just really, really, truly hope that you're seeking out His will no matter what your circumstance is today, because He does have a plan. Just trust Him. Give yourself to Him. Surrender. Get up every morning and surrender yourself anew to Him every day. Every day. And then when you go to bed at night, pray that, you served Him well, and that you will be able to serve Him well the next day. That's the greatest blessing in our life. Oh, Arabella just wanted to say hey again. Yeah. Boop, boop. All right, guys. I love you so much. I will see you again soon. Please check out my Etsy shop. Even if you don't buy anything, I'd love for people to give me feedback on it. If there's something you would like to see, let me know, and I would do my best to create it for you. And also, my Patreon. I have my Patreon now. If you could check that out, that would really, really, I would appreciate it so much. Both of them are Tilted Tiara, and I spell Tiara differently, so it was TiltedTiera. Tilted Tiara. So my Etsy shop is Tilted Tiara Designs, and my Patreon is Tilted Tiara Ministries. So I will try to put the links in the bottom. I don't know why. Sometimes I mess up and it doesn't work, but I'm going to do my best. One of these days I'm going to figure it out really, really well, and everything's going to be beautiful and smooth. Well, maybe not. That's me. That's my prayer, though. That's my prayer. It may not happen that way, but that's my prayer. All right, guys. Have a great day. I love you, and I will see you again soon. All right. Just a quick little thing. I'm just going to show you what I have to tolerate every day. You see that? Yeah. All day long. Every day. Every day. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.